Welcome to another United Front video. Announcements. Use your bumped up code. Save your money. That's what I got.
All right. Make sure you guys check out my podcast with Outcast X. Repping them today, so go check them out. That's pretty much it. So today we are joined by a special guest. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself before I mess up your name?
I'm Andrew Money. I'm a police officer for Springville City Police Department, Utah. And yeah,
That's it.
I come from Utah. I come from Springville. I've known John here for a couple of years now. I worked with him at a treatment center, and he asked me to come on here because he has some questions. So
let's just dive into it. So we wanted to kind of interview Andrew, and we're going to start this little kind of series of interviewing a cop, a firefighter, military individual, and a couple other people that we'll decide when we get there. And so the first question is, what does the average day on the job look like for you?
I don't feel like there's an average day on the job, right? You don't know what's going to happen next, right? You could be going to a car fire. I mean, I had a call last weekend of a car fire, and then the next one could be a domestic violence, right? So as first responders, at least on the law enforcement side, they expect you to be at all the medical calls along with all of your law enforcement side calls. So you're going to be, you don't know what's going to be next. It could be a vehicle burglary. It could be an armed robbery. It could be an active shooter situation. So, I guess there isn't such thing as what an average day looks like. You don't know what's going to be next.
How long have you been serving?
Just about a month now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're still fresh.
I'm still very fresh.
Okay. So whenever you get a call, right?
Right.
Are you ever nervous? Because you're still fairly new.
Yeah.
Has there ever been like a time where it's just like, shoot, I don't know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, there's a lot of calls that don't have a lot of information, right? I'm getting my information from dispatch, who is on the other line of somebody that's having the worst moment of their life, right?
Right.
So they're trying to understand somebody that is going through such a traumatic experience, right? So it could be it could be completely different from what dispatch tells me. I could be on my way to what could be a suspicious car parked in a church parking lot, right?
Right.
And I could show up and it could be like a full out ambush. Like that's something that I stress a lot about in the academy that is starting to happen more frequent is people set up calls with very minimum information just to get a jump on police officers.
Okay. So like the intent to harm a cop. Okay.
Yeah, and I think, but for like a straight answer, I think suspicious and like weapons offenses are my biggest ones.
Okay. Are you married? Are you have girlfriend, kids?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious how that whole dynamic's working for you.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend when I was in the police academy. We broke up. The job it's hard on relationships. Especially a lot of local agencies. They bounce you around from shift to shift, right? So for a month and a half you could be on day shift, and then the next month and a half you could be on nights. So
is it more of like a schedule conflict? More of like she just doesn't want to have to deal with you're not coming back.
That too. No.
How would you put 100? Like what was like the biggest factor in like her being like I would assume like it's kind of like I can't really handle that anymore.
I think it was a lot of I wasn't able to give her the time and effort that she wanted given my circumstances, right?
Okay.
But I do know a lot of people that a big thing, well, at least is what they taught in the academy, is they taught that police officers like to put on a mask, right? They see terrible things every day.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them think that they're tough enough that they don't need to talk about it, and that takes a really big toll on their home life, their family life. Yeah, so I think that's a big one.
Kind of going off of that, that was kind of my next question is what do you feel like is the worst part of being a police officer?
Oh, from what I've experienced, I mean, I don't have a lot of experience by any means, but from what I've experienced, I think calls involving children. That, I mean, like, just what it takes for a person to do something violent or terrible to a child. It blows my mind and it blows others' minds. Like, I think that's the saddest part of, and the hardest part of being a police officer is just going to a call that had just involved like either child abuse or even worse, right? And I mean, you see, like, you pull up to a house or whatnot, and there's a child that, like, they're helpless, right? They can't defend themselves by any means. And you have somebody as big as you, or you, and I mean, they're beating on like a 5 or 6 year old, right? So I think that's what I guess you could say, like, bugs me the most.
Do you have to like prepare yourself mentally for those? I'm assuming you've got some
Yeah.
skills. Okay. So do you have to like prepare yourself a certain way to like go
Oh
into
yeah.
those situations? So like, what would you say is like the mental part of it of preparing yourself when you go into a phone call or call
So when I'm on the way to any call, I'm thinking of every situation, like every outcome that could happen, right? And I guess to prepare myself, I look down and I see what I'm wearing. I'm in uniform. I'm on duty. Right now, I'm a police officer. I'm not a judge or a jury, so I need to act in my legality of what I'm there for, right? I'm just there to enforce the law. I'm there to see what crime, like to investigate what crime has been committed, and to take that individual into custody if that crime has been committed. And I guess I just have to prepare professionally to what I'm going to do to handle that call the most professional.
Fair enough. Is there any part of the job that is your favorite part? Or you like more?
So, I mean, I've got like baby fever. I love kids. I love interacting with kids. I get along well with kids.
Bro, you're single. Come on.
I know,
You gotta chill, bro.
but no, yeah.
It's also young.
I don't know. I'm only 21, so
21.
I'm a young buck.
That's fine, bro. There's nothing. Look, one of my favorite quotes by a guy, right? He said, "It doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you're able to get yourself right. Because
Right.
if you're hitting your financial goals, you could have 4 kids right now.
Exactly.
As long, and it's just going to be like that little sliver of money that's going to be nothing. So as
Right.
long as you're doing what you need to do, doesn't matter how old you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
So go have them kids, bro.
Well, I gotta find a girl first. But yeah, no. So, I forgot. You gotta read the question again.
So, in a sense, what is your favorite part of the job?
Oh, I think interacting with anyone, kids. I mean, suspects especially. Like you watch all the TV shows of like cops and NYPD, and they just show the exciting stuff. Like they make it sound like, oh, being a cop, every arrest you're gonna get in a fight. I've been in very little fights. Everyone that I've arrested, it could be a homicide suspect, right? And you could be putting on those cuffs. Obviously, you're still attentive and making sure, like, okay, like if this person tries this, I'm gonna do this. But a lot of the times when you arrest somebody, especially for DUI is a big one. They're really appreciative of what you're doing. While you're sitting there filling out the booking stuff at the jail, they come back and they say thank you, like you saved my life today. And then you get to talking, you've built that connection, right? And they start telling you their life story, what they went through as a kid and what got them there. And I think I didn't think about that going into this job, but that's one of the parts that I've come to love the most is just being able to hear people's stories, just like their background and where they came from, stuff like that.
Do you feel like working at the treatment center that you worked at has kind of helped you with the work, or
100%.
what specifically?
I think interaction and patience. I mean, I've never had a job where I've had to interact with people up until the treatment center, right? I mean, I was always a welder or a cowboy or rodeo and whatnot. And like the working at the treatment center, it taught me how to interact with an individual in a stressful situation for them. And I think that went that took it very far in my ability to being able to work in law enforcement.
So you feel like you've been able to use like the skills of de-escalation
Oh
at
yeah,
the treatment center?
oh yeah.
So you talked about the academy.
hmm
What are like the requirements to get it?
So you have to you have to go through a very extensive background check. You have to fill out a packet so you have to fill out a couple packets. The way that I did the academy is I got what you call sponsored, right? So I got hired on by a police department and then went to the police academy so I could do school full time. So that way I could be done and get all my hours for my certifications within like roughly 4 months instead of like if I were to go to UVU or like self-sponsor, it'd take about 9 months. So you got to fill out a lot of background checks. I had to fill out two packets, one for post, and that's what the academy is called, and one for Springfield City. And you have to list every interaction you've had with police, every like if you have priors, every prior. Obviously drug and alcohol history, what you've done underage, like all the Class B misdemeanors, all the class like any charges, right? Anything that you have done, anything that you've done that's against the law per se. And that took, I think that took about 2 months for detectives to look over and investigate. You have to put all your contact information, all your immediate family, um, all your extended family that lives in the state. At least I did, and I had to put, I think it was 5 close contacts, so friends that I've had for more than like 2 years. Um, those detectives they call pretty much everyone on that list. They also call all your ex-employers. Uh, they want to get to know you as a person. I feel like if you just interview for any job, you can be on your best behavior for any job, right? Any interview.
It's fair.
Yeah, not law enforcement or first responders. They they take that stuff very serious, and then at that point, you get like if you pass your background, you have to take a series of drug tests. You have to take a polygraph exam. At least I did a lot. Like some departments are starting to lean away from it, but I had to take a polygraph exam and a psyche evaluation. That was terrible. That was like a 4 hour test of me just clicking. It was terrible. It was like 1,600 questions.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was rough.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah. So I had to do that test twice.
Nah,
That was terrible.
nah.
Like the polygraph, that was a pretty extensive test, but the test itself is 30 minutes while you're hooked up to the machine in the chair. But I was at that office for about 4 hours, just like they ask you the questions over and over again. So I got asked about the same 20 questions over and over again for 4
Different
hours.
phrasing.
Yeah. Yep.
That'd be annoying.
Bro,
It was
they're
terrible.
trying to trick you,
I know.
bro.
Well, that's,
They're coming for you,
I mean,
bro.
it's a like ex FBI person that's doing the test on you, right? And so, yeah, it's great.
Is there anything that like you said that they in the background check they look about or they look at any interactions you've had with police and also like any misdemeanors? Is there anything like set in stone like that would disqualify you?
Murder.
Well, no shit.
Yeah. So
SA.
like, so
Like,
actually,
it should be pretty straight.
I said misdemeanor. I said misdemeanor.
no. So actually,
Like you should have been able to figure
I
that
said
out yourself.
misdemeanor.
Yeah, bro. I stole a $2 candy bar. Oh, can't be a cop now. When I was 16.
no, yeah. I mean, I don't have the cleanest juvenile record by any means, but
He's only been a cop for a month, guys. It's only been a
yeah.
month.
Well, and it's been a long time since I got myself into trouble. Most of your felonies, anything that hasn't been taken care of and then you haven't done like a full conviction, there's separate time periods for you being able to start the academy, right? So, say you underage drink.
Okay.
You have to wait a year from the last time you underage drank until you're able to start the academy. It used to be 2 years, but since so many people are hurting for officers right now, it's that they upped it to a year just because of, I mean, like hiring people, right?
Mhm.
And so stuff like that, there's time periods. There was actually, I want to say, a guy in the academy session behind me that he had I want to say he, in his past, he had gone to prison for something. I don't know what, and I don't know what charges he had, but I mean, prison's a big deal. Usually people just go to jail, get bailed out, and whatnot.
Mhm.
But he had served time, and he was going back through to be a corrections officer. So I don't know like the full. I mean, like you said, like homicide, that's a big one. I assume that you're not going to be a police officer
Fair enough.
if you
Yeah.
kill somebody, right?
Hey,
Um,
hey,
Logically,
if it was self-defense,
yeah,
provable
that is
self-defense,
true. That is true.
provable.
That is true. Yeah, stuff like that. There's a lot of things that can hold you back, but I mean, it's just all about who you are as a person and if you got your stuff figured out.
Hmm. Tell me about the physical requirements
Oh, that sucks.
for the academy as well as just staying on the job. Because I know there's always that huge misconception whenever you watch a TV show, you watch a movie. Typically, cops are fat, lazy, eating
Right.
donuts, drinking coffee,
No, yeah.
not really doing much. So, tell me what it actually takes to be able to make sure you're able to pass the physical exam, get into the academy, pass whatever physical you have to do in there, and then stay.
Right. The PT at Post sucked. We would run 2 times a week. Run like 3 or 4 mile runs. On top of that, we'd do like an hour. Sorry, excuse me. On top of that, we'd do like about an hour and a half workout, like a calisthenic cardio workout, and then we'd jump straight into DT. And so we did that twice a week, and then we'd have weekend assignments of working out. So I mean, your bare minimum requirements aren't that hard to make. I think it's like an 18-inch vertical. You have to do 20 some odd push-ups, hold a plank for like a minute and a half, and do a mile and a half in like 14 minutes.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not like the test itself isn't that extensive, but no, like the workouts suck. And after you get out of the academy, because that's where you're going to work out the most. Like I lost 17 pounds in like the first month.
Wow.
Yeah, it sucked. And and once you get out of the academy is when things start to slow down, right? I mean, you think about it like there are definitely overweight cops, right? But
Absolutely.
that's because it depends on like where you're working, the calls you take, and I guess what you're doing in your day-to-day life. I personally like to watch my diet, and I'm my self-discipline isn't enough to where I like to work out, right? And you have cops that are starting to get to that age where, like I'm young, so that's not my favorite. But you have older cops out there that, I mean, sometimes all you're doing is sitting in the car all day.
Right.
And they don't watch their diet, so they're going out to all this fast food every shift that they work, and every meal that they eat is fast food. And then you go sit in a car for 12 hours.
Fair enough.
And so you're maybe on your feet, and then they go home and they just watch TV and decompress.
Drink a beer.
Yeah.
Just relax, yell at the kids.
Exactly. Yeah. No, like
Eat the wine. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know about that.
Sorry, I reverted to like 70 years ago. My bad, guys.
But no, but yeah, like I think that's a big reason why there are overweight cops out there.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's just about self-discipline.
So you said depending on the call you take. So call comes in, there's like, hey, we got burglary, and I'm sitting there chewing on my In-N-Out, right? Can I just be like, not gonna answer. Like, what's kind of how that works out?
So you gotta have your seriousness of the call. Every call that you get is a call to service, and whatever county or city you work for, you're there to serve them. So a burglary, that's a pretty intense one where you've got to get up, drop what you're doing, and you get to that house
Okay.
because you don't know if that person that's trying to get in is armed. You don't know if they're there to either steal stuff or to cause harm on that person, on that residence. And so that's a one that you're gonna probably scoot to, right? But say you got like a motorist assist, somebody's got a flat tire on the side of the road, or like they're locked out of their vehicle. I'm gonna finish my lunch, but I'm gonna finish it really quick. Say I've got half that burger left. I'm finishing that thing in 3 bites, and then I'm going.
Okay, so you're not gonna keep watching your Netflix show.
No.
You're like, I gotta put some urgency in this.
Right.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you brought up, someone gets locked out of their car.
Yeah.
I got a real question. Okay.
Yeah.
Typically, you call in, you're like, hey, I got locked out of my car, and there's like, yeah, it's gonna be like 2 hours. Is it because everyone's busy, or is it really just no one wants to do it, and so they're just like, we'll figure something out?
No, yeah, for sure. So that depends on, I'd say yes, it's because you're busy.
Okay.
At least the team that I'm working with right now is because we're busy.
Okay.
We're really good at jumping the task at hand, and so we're gonna do our best to get there as soon as we can, right? But you do have people out there that they're just lazy. They would love to finish this DUI report that's gonna take them 40 minutes to write to an hour before they leave to go help you get your car unlocked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about like jurisdiction, right? So you're Springville Cup, right?
Right.
So let's say, like, at what level does it become like, okay, like we're gonna send some offers?
So
we're gonna send some officers to Spanish Fork. Like, is there like a certain level of stuff, or is it more of just like they just don't have people, or like?
So there's a few factors. There's urgency of what's at hand, right? A couple weeks ago, we had a barricaded homicide suspect in an apartment building. We had county out there. We had Payson PD. We had Spanish Fork PD. In situations like that, the more bodies that you have, the better, right? The more numbers that you have. I mean, the officers that responded to that, they had been on shift for already 10 hours. And then they just added another 8 hours of their shift, or until suspect comes out of the house.
Right.
And, I mean, we ended up having to call SWAT, so that's another, I think we had 8 operators or so respond to that. And so, in total, I think we had 30 cops sit on the house.
Wow.
About. And
For 8 hours.
for 8 hours. That's how long that sat on.
No, dude. Especially after like working like 10 hours, dude. I'd be like, bro,
Right? And
bro, I'm pissed.
it's cold outside. You didn't think to grab your gloves. You can't. Obviously, you have guns on that house, right? You can't say, "Hey guys, wait! I'm going to put on my gloves." Because what if that person that, right as you said that, walks out of the house with a weapon? So, you're out there freezing, right? You're holding a cold metal rifle, a cold metal handgun. It just sucks. So the more people that you have, right? I mean, we have our detectives out there. It was a mess, and I think it just comes to what you have. Sometimes we get called to Provo just because they're investigating a case that involves that happened in Springville.
Mhm.
So somebody that lives in Provo did something in Springville, and now they're back to Provo. Say we had a hit. I helped Provo out on a hit and run that they had a suspect that lived in Springville, so I had to go to the house, right? And Mapleton is very similar. Mapleton's a really small department. We have a really good relationship with our surrounding departments, Mapleton especially. So we help out Mapleton all the time.
Okay, so it's not uncommon for you guys to
No.
kind of, okay.
No, we don't go running and gunning
Right.
in their jurisdiction, right? But if they're like, hey, I just need another unit on this traffic stop, like our other units are busy. Like if you guys aren't doing anything, we'd love to have another body here.
Okay.
And so yeah, we'd go.
Okay. I like that.
And so we like, especially if like our team is busy. So for example, this last week we had a debrief about that standoff, right? So all of our officers were in a meeting. They call it going 10-6. 10-6 means you're still at the police department, but you're not able to answer calls unless like shit is at the fan, right?
Okay.
Mapleton covered Springville. They would come down and patrol Springville. They'd answer Springville calls. So I guess it just depends on the situation and what the task at hand is.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. I was just kind of curious. So, kind of like with that too, right? You do Springville. Let's say, let's just from what I've generally heard, typically cops don't live in the exact city that they serve in, right? So you're headed home, right? And you're in Provo, right? Someone's speeding. Can you pull them over and then wait for someone, and then call it into that specific department, or is that kind of
So you can scan other channels, right?
Mhm.
So the way that works is I'm a certified law enforcement officer in the state of Utah.
Okay.
Huh.
My off duty, I'm dressed in plain clothes, but I have a badge and a gun. I enforce the law no matter where I go.
Okay.
Obviously, it depends on the situation.
Oh, for sure.
If I'm in my personal car, I'm not going to pull over a car. But if
Can't just throw a light on top.
Yeah, exactly. But if I'm in my patrol car, acting as a police officer, driving up I-15, and I could be in Salt Lake, I can still pull over a vehicle.
Okay. So at that point, do you have is there like a can you handle it, or is it more of just like
I can handle? I'm gonna call in the situation. I'm gonna call in no matter what. If I get out of that vehicle on a call, where I'm investigating a crime that's been committed, I'm calling it in.
Okay.
Because say I get out on somebody I just pulled over, and I didn't call it in, and I get shot.
They don't know what's going on. 100%.
It could be 15 minutes before a call even comes in, right? So a lot of officers like to just not turn a blind eye, but it's the seriousness of a call.
Okay.
If I'm driving up to Salt Lake and somebody passes me and they're doing 80 and a 70, I'm not gonna pull them over. But that's just me personally. I don't see them risk versus reward, right?
Right.
But if I'm driving up there and I look over and somebody's beating the crap out of their partner, that car's getting stopped.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And you have full authorization to, I guess you could say, to cite them.
Mm-hmm.
I can give a ticket anywhere in the state because it just based off of the court system, right? So you have your different districts of court. So you just when you go to fill out a citation, you
put it for that city.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that district.
So it's less of when you're a Springville cop, but you can technically work in anywhere in the state of Utah. You're just responding, and your home is in Springville, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just make sure I got that straight. So anyone that's doing something, remember any cop, yeah, they can come for you. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm educating the people that like to commit crimes.
I love it. That's why we're here, right? Yeah.
Okay, I do have a question to go back to the academy. What are the school requirements?
Oh my god,
classes, stuff like that.
They expect you to be a law student in 4 months. You get very familiar with the code book, the Utah State Code book. You get fairly familiar with federal laws, and you learn just about everything you can about courts. Where this charge goes, what court does this charge go? Is it going to the district court, justice court? You learn what it takes to actually count as a crime, what you can charge on somebody. Some crimes you have to prove intent. That this person came there to do what they did, right? Theft is a big one. I had a theft case not that long ago it was pretty much shoplifting, right? It was a juvenile case. Kid went there, stole, say, a candy bar. I have to prove that kid went there to steal the candy bar.
Mm-hmm.
At least to get a theft charge on him, right? and that they push that a lot in the academy, along with your duty to intervene is what it's called. Like knowing when your administration or anyone above you or anyone working with you, if they've stepped over that line, you need to step in. I can get charged. So say I'm on an arrest with an officer, right? We're in a fight and we get the individual into custody. If that guy is in cuffs and another officer is just wailing on him, I have to step in or else I can get charged criminally. Yeah. So they stress a lot about that. Ethics is a big one. They are like, and professionalism. Anything like a lot of things come down to professionalism and communication, right? Whatever your attitude is towards a suspect, I mean, they're still human, right? It doesn't matter what they did. You're not there to be a judge, jury. You're there to enforce the crime that's been committed. Doesn't matter of appearance. It doesn't like you're not here to profile anyone. You're not here to. You're there to answer calls to service. So they push that. They push that very hard at the academy. I mean, then you have your fun trainings like driving the cars, EVO. I mean, firearms, defensive tactics, stuff like that. But the academy when I was going in, like when I first started it, I was expecting it to just be this gun ho, running and gunning, like kind of like boot camp type thing. No, there was days after 12 hours. Yeah.
Nope.
It sucks.
Nope.
It sucks. Most of my instructors were attorneys and prosecutors and judges and stuff like that.
It would have aged me.
Yeah.
I'm very argumentative.
I literally made a video about him today, just arguing.
Oh, goodness.
Me?
Yep.
What do you mean?
From a clip last week.
Bro, why are you focusing on my argumentative side, bro? You're supposed to make me look good, bro. Not make me look like a dick. Come on.
I don't make you look good.
Well, you specifically made that clip. Yeah, that's your fault, bro.
I was just like, this is a funny part. Might as well just run.
Hey, as long as it's funny. I gotta have something to go with all that.
Fair enough.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, what would you tell the people to kind of put? It's obviously like ever since the whole George Floyd thing,
Right.
there's kind of this bad light on police officers and
Right.
stuff like that. What would you tell the people to kind of start to break out of that bad
This is a tougher subject. I mean, you're gonna meet bad people in every industry you work. No matter what you do, you're gonna need law enforcement. You're gonna need first responders. I'm not saying that every cop is a good cop, right? You're gonna have bad policemen everywhere. A saying that stuck with me during when all that stuff was going on is, just because there's a bad apple in the tree doesn't mean you're going to throw the whole tree away. There's still great policemen out there. I mean, part of our job is we'll take a bullet for you, right? When crap has hit the fan, who do you call?
Ghostbusters.
I guess, but no, like that. That's one of those more serious questions of, like, obviously you can't defund the police. Who's gonna answer the call of an active shooter at a school?
Absolutely. Everyone has an issue with, because, I would say that, this generation would say that for the majority of it, that cops are tagged with toxic masculinity, right?
Right.
And so, and so they're like, oh, defund the police, this and this. But here's the thing. Everyone, they say that and they're all high and mighty at the point when there's not an issue.
Right.
The second something comes up, like, what's your plan? What are you going to do?
When somebody breaks into their house.
Exactly. You're in a call and they're like, sorry, we can't send anyone to you. What are you going to do now?
We'll send a social worker.
Exactly.
Like, it's just, I mean, I'm not going to deny that there's not bad people out there. Right? I haven't seen it firsthand, but I mean, look at the news, right? And I mean, not the media is not always right on certain things. Like there's a lot of details that get missed, but there are bad cops out there, and but there's also like amazing cops, right? There's everyone that I work with, I would trust them with my life in a second, right? And it like you said, we like cops tend to have like that toxic masculinity vibe, right? But as our job, we're an authoritative figure, right?
Absolutely.
We're there to keep the peace in a lot of situations, so we have to be the one to put the foot down. And a
Absolutely.
lot of us don't enjoy that. I love having interactions with people, but it sucks when I have to yell at people.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I hate being a mean person, but I will if I have to. You're right.
Absolutely.
And I guess people just don't really understand that. Like, there's so many laws that people don't understand when it comes to like cell phones, for example. Like, you can film us, at least in the state of Utah, you can film us,
Yes.
but don't cross this line because this line is where my crime scene is.
Absolutely.
Every-
There's a point to where it's like you're allowed to do this, this, and this, right?
Right.
But you can't interfere because at that point, it is an issue.
Yeah, right. Like, if it's not affecting my investigation, by all means, stand back there and you can film me. Like, I'll give you my badge with my number. Like, go ahead.
Yeah.
But the moment that you cross that crime scene, I mean, even if it's as little as like I'm just on a traffic stop. That's a huge. I think it comes down to like scene security and safety, right? If I'm standing talking to you and say this is a car, right? And you come up this close and you're videoing me.
You don't know what's going on.
I don't know who
That
you
could
are.
be anyone.
You could, right? Like, I'm not saying that, like, that's what's going to happen,
Right.
but how do I know that?
Exactly.
I mean, there's stories of police officers that get shot just sitting in their car. People just walk up and shoot them. And it comes down to that, like, and you have videos of police officers, like, getting upset at people, right? And it turns into this huge ordeal. But you got to see also, like, where police officers come from. Because, I mean, they have to put their foot down. They have to get that person to listen to. What if I just keep asking you in this tone? Is it going to make you feel any different? But if I start to get, raise my voice and yell, then you know, like, okay, this is serious, right? So I think that's a big one. We don't like being the bad guy. That's what I'm saying. I mean, we don't like being mean, but sometimes we just have to.
No, absolutely. I tell people, just because I'm very strong when it comes to my opinions and beliefs.
Right.
So, but basically, when it comes to cops, right? Me and my girlfriend actually was watching a video. She likes, crazy stuff that happened, right?
Yeah.
So, there was video, guy got pulled over, he thought, it was bull crap, right? All that bullshit. I don't know why I'm censoring myself. I'm a full ass it was bullshit, all that stuff. He started getting upset and ended up, shooting multiple cops, right? My whole thing is like, look, I understand like there's going to be situations that are, there's going to be times where it's like, oh, this is like bullshit, right? But a cop has a job to do and they have to do it in a specific way. And it's like, here's the thing, right? At that point, even if it's annoying or whatever, like if you just go through the process, one, it's going to be quicker.
Right.
And, because if it's wrong, like the cop gets completely wrong, right? It's going to get straightened out. Right. Nothing's going to get straightened out by you, being all defensive and being angry and not complying and all that stuff. That's when there's going to be more issues and you're more likely going to actually get charged. Because for all you know, like you could be like, hey, like this is what's going on, so just be careful. Like you don't know what's going on. You don't give the cop the opportunity to be a good person.
Well, that and like even in court. So say I arrest somebody on a DUI and they have drugs on them. I'm gonna report everything on that DUI.
Yeah.
They're gonna if they open up and say, hey, listen, I've got X amount of weed in the car. Okay, thank you for telling me. Like, where's it located at? Oh, it's in the center console. Awesome. Like a judge is gonna love to see that more than, oh, I got nothing in the car. And then they start to get combative as I'm trying to take them into custody.
And then you find it.
And then I find it.
Absolutely.
It's a way bigger deal. And like, they just caught an extra charge for assault on a police officer or like resisting, right?
Right.
So a traffic stop, if I pulled somebody over for speeding, if I've decided I'm going to write them a ticket, that traffic stop still shouldn't take more than like 10 minutes, right? And people don't understand that, like, oh, I'm late for work. Like, that traffic stop is extended by just like a tiny bit amount of time, whether I'm going to write you a ticket or not. Instead, you have to have this really bad attitude that I have to sit there and explain to you what I'm doing, and like I'm going to explain to you what I'm doing no matter what. But if you're going to sit there and argue with me, that's just prolonging the outcome. The outcome's going to happen, right?
Right, 100%.
Like, and it's just like, it's like you're you're grabbing a shovel and you're just digging a hole. You're just, I mean, like, I don't know what your intent is. Like, if you want to get the rise out of the police officers, like, I just don't understand it.
No, absolutely.
I mean, police officers, they like to take the nice way, right? I mean, you're gonna have sticklers out there, like older stickler officers, right? But I mean, if I pulled you over for going 5 over.
No, right. And I mean, like, how many times do people get pulled over and the cop knocks down the charge just because you're not a dick to them?
It's true.
Like, I mean, like, majority of the time, the cops aren't actually helping you out.
Right.
And so it's like, why are you just making it worse just because you're pissed about the situation you caused?
Exactly. Like, before I even thought about law enforcement, I had been pulled over like 20 times.
Yeah.
I've had one ticket. One ticket. And, like, that's just me because I'm, like, respectful, right? Like, I'm just like, oh, like, information. I'm not acting like I'm not acting belligerent or by any means. Like, you say I'll do, right? And it just makes things go by so smoother, so easier.
Absolutely. I mean, kind of get a little, controversial here for a minute because, there's that whole thing of like, cops hate black people, right?
Right.
I'm black. Okay. I mean, like
Really?
I know. I was surprised too, bro. Sometimes I wake up, I'm like, what the shit is this? No, anytime I ever get over where I'm dealing with a situation with a cop, right? I am always, there's always that aspect, like, I don't know what cop to do. And so there's always kind of just like, I'm a little freaked out. Like, I'll be honest, I'm typically a little freaked out around cops, right? But I'm still always as respectful as possible, answer any questions. And I've never ran into an issue. I've never had, a cop had any type of like, like,
like, get the fuck out of the car.
Right. Or like, is this really your car? Like, I've never had any of that stuff happen. Just because, and honestly, I'd say for the most part, just because I'm respectful, because, they're doing their job. I mean, like, you're not going to sit and question, the cashier being like, oh, so did you get this in the sale rack? Like, you're not going to flip out on them for that. Like, they're just doing what they're supposed to do. So if you can just sit there and, accept that you're going to be an extra 15, 20 minutes late to wherever you're going.
Yeah.
Answer a couple of questions, then you'll be on your way. Typically, not much is going to happen.
Exactly, yeah. Like, yeah, I mean, and everyone's nervous when they get pulled over. I still get nervous when I get pulled over.
Absolutely.
Like, it's because, like, I've done something wrong. Crap, this is just another thing to add on, right?
Yep.
Like, we get trained to tell you, to tell if you're nervous because you got pulled over, or if you're nervous because you got X amount of drugs in the trunk.
No,
right?
100%.
And people don't realize that, and especially, like, I hate the media, right? I hate social media just because of, like, the way that they put things out to look.
Yep.
Like, they could be wrestling, say, like, a black person on the ground, right? And what does it look like?
No,
it looks like cops beating the shit out of a black person, right?
Right.
How do they know that before they started recording, that person just didn't pull a gun on them?
No, exactly.
That person didn't just throw the first punch at a cop. Like, what if they were just having a conversation
and everyone watching is saying, "Oh, the guy's innocent. The guy's innocent."
Exactly.
You also don't even know the situation that's going on. Like, even if you're there recording, you don't hear everything. You don't know why the cop's there in the first place. Like,
right.
I mean, like, I get, like, you want to make sure you're safe. I wouldn't even say they want to keep other people safe. They more just want to, have, like, this whole thing and be like, oh, I have this awesome story going on, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I understand that, but it's just like, you also have to understand if a cop's going to be a bad cop, like, it's going to happen whether you say something or not. Like, it is. If someone's going to do something, it's going to happen. So let it happen and unfold, and then take the situation as it is. Don't provoke it to the point where that cop has to be the asshole.
Right. Yeah, because like I said, we don't like being an asshole. I'm an everyday guy. I'm wearing jeans, a belt, and a shirt, like a t-shirt, right?
No, exactly.
I'm dressed just like you guys. But the moment I put on that uniform, people don't see that.
Yeah.
Like we just look like a government bot.
Yep.
So
NPC.
yep.
They see color. They see color.
It's the opposite color football.
Hey, it's the color. All right, I do have a question. So there's a lot of different names for Fox. You know,
Okay.
what do you find like the most? That's like, yo, that's just douchey to say.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't get bugged by it that much, right? I mean, if I'm on a traffic stop and somebody yells like "You "fucking pig," I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, see ya." I'm not gonna do that. I can't. They have the freedom of speech. It just comes to there's a fine line between like obstruction. Like if I'm on an investigation and somebody like walks into my crime scene and just starts getting in my face, then that's different,
Right.
right? But like you can. It doesn't bug me personally. I mean,
Fair enough.
I guess pig, but at the same time, like I love pigs, right? Like,
Bro, bacon.
right? I don't know. Like that stuff just doesn't bother me.
That's fair. I've always been curious about that because people come up with the most creative names, right?
Right.
So
Oh, for sure.
I was curious if there was ever one that was just like, yeah, that was a little rude.
No, yeah, like my roommates are officers too, well deputies, and we'll call each other like, oh, what's up, 12? Or like,
Okay.
we'll refer to ourselves as like the 5-0.
Mhm.
Like, it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's just doesn't bug us.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So what's kind of like? Can you break down like kind of like the ranking scale from like chief, deputy, like how?
No, yeah, for sure. So I'm more familiar with my department that I work at, and we have a chief, and then it goes to lieutenant. We have 2 lieutenants. We have a, like investigations lieutenant and a patrol lieutenant. And then we have our sergeants, corporals, and people like me, just officers. So my direct supervisor right now is a corporal, but I also have a sergeant on my shift. So if that corporal is busy, then I go to my sergeant.
Right.
And then they go to the lieutenant, and then they go to the chief. So the bigger the department you get, you're going to start integrating captains and stuff like that. And then, but I guess above the chief, we have our city council and mayor, right? But that's more of like city side
Right.
of things. They handle like pretty much everything in the city. But yeah, I mean, like usually I just go to my corporal for things, and then if it needs to go further, then me and my corporal talk to my sergeant.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So what kind of requirements or like time are you looking at to be able to move up through the ranks?
I've known people that in like within like 3 years, 2.5 years, or 3 years, have made corporal, and then 5 years like sergeant, right? Depending on where, like what I want to specialize in, like if I want to do SWAT investigations or something like that, then like if I want to stick to patrol, then I'll try to make my way up the ranks, right? But that it just depends on you as a person, right? I mean, as soon as like you're able to qualify and have those qualifications to go for those positions, then you can.
Okay. So is it more performance based, or it's kind of just like you have to make sure they check this box, this box, this box?
Yeah, kind
Get
of
that
like a mix of
automatic.
both. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it also depends on their department. Like, if you have a department that is losing employees fast, then you're obviously going to progress fast. Yeah.
Is there like a certain like time limit to become a corporal? Is it just
So
those boxes?
So where I'm started, so the first year that you were on the road, you have like your FTO, that's about 3 months, and then you are on like a probation period, and that's your first year. So I'm not able to like test out for any specialized like specialties like SWAT, or I'm not able to like put in for detectives and stuff like that until I hit that year mark. And even then, most places want you to have as much experience on the road as you can get. So it's a couple years to get those positions.
Okay. So, but theoretically, you hit that year mark to technically start.
Yeah.
So just depending on department's needs and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And, you're not.
And like your especially your knowledge, like they're not gonna take
Scrub.
somebody that's been 5 years on the road, but like the most that they've handled is like DUIs.
Right.
They don't want that. Like they want. I mean, you're a supervisor. The moment you have stripes on your shirt, you're a supervisor, right?
Right.
So I mean, you're responsible for that person in that team.
Do you have a specific thing that you do want to specialize in, or you're just kind of filling all fields right?
So kind of a mix of both. So when I first started the academy, I really wanted to do investigations like homicide or narcotics. But the more I realized that I'm young and in good enough shape, I think the moment that I do hit that year mark, I'm gonna try out for SWAT. Do a couple of years on SWAT and then see what I can do next.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, we're gonna start wrapping up. But what advice would you have for someone that wants to be a cop or wants to go into law
Don't be scared to just start on it. I was terrified to just start doing applications. I applied with 2 departments. I applied for a county job and then Springville City. And I didn't have the job with Springville at first, so they picked somebody over. But then that person decided that they didn't want to do law enforcement anymore. And so then I ended up getting that job. And like there's no better time to start than just like in that moment, right? I mean, just start putting your application out there. Just start getting the process on with. Staying out of trouble, like being honest, like just work on getting to the academy. Even if you self-sponsor, you're gonna get picked up in the academy. Do your best in the academy, and you're gonna get picked up. But just get started on it. I have a lot of friends that are interested in they're putting it off just because they're scared. They don't think that they have what it takes and whatnot. But if you don't have what it takes when you start the academy, they're gonna make it so that you have what it takes when you get out.
Fair enough. Like Buzz Lightyear says, it was pounded out of him at the academy.
Yep.
Terrible movie. Terrible.
Hey, early one. But all right. Do you have any questions? Last thoughts that you want to tell us, them, any questions for us? Anything last minute thing. Like this is your time to
I can't think of anything. No, I mean this job is the best decision I've ever made. I feel amazing where I'm at in life. I mean, I'm 21. I'll be able to retire when I'm 46. Will I retire when I'm 46? Probably not. But
You have that option.
I have that option, right? And it's not a bad retirement either. But I'm gonna be still 46. I feel like I'm gonna be in good enough shape where I won't want to stop working. And so, yeah, best decision I've ever made.
Awesome.
It's a great career. Mental health is a huge thing. If you're struggling, reach out to somebody. There's so many resources out there to talk to. If you're gonna keep friends, don't just have cop friends. Having your friends that are just your friends are very important. Try to keep your family out of it as much as you can. I don't put unless it's like something cool that I know my little brother's interested in. I'll be like, yeah, did this exciting thing happen at work? But if it's something terrible that I saw that's could affect me, I don't want to put that on him, right? Yeah, talk to somebody. There's too many cops killing themselves.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for coming. Make sure you guys check out the rest of our videos. Huge thank you to Andrew for coming on, sharing a little bit about his experience. No idea what we're going to be doing next, but make sure you guys use our Google phone number that you did set up, right?
Yep.
Make sure you guys use that. Any questions, comments, concerns, we're here. Make sure you use the Bucked Up link. Check out my podcast on Outcast X, and make sure you guys listen to them.
If you're looking for physical training, hit us up on that Google Chats. If you're also looking for dating advice, hit us up on that Google Chat. One of us will respond to be able to help you with specifically what you're looking for. we're here to help you guys improve your life. Become that G that you need to be.
Top G.
Not top G.
Become a top G, bro.
You can't be Andrew Tate.
You gotta become a top G, bro.
No, sorry, you can't be Andrew Tate. But, as we often say, United Front, out!